There is an illusion that follows most people throughout their entire lives. The illusion that there is still plenty of time. Time to take care of your health. Time to strengthen your relationships. Time to organize your finances. Time to keep learning. Time to truly live. But time has a curious way of moving. When we are young, we believe it moves slowly. Then, almost without warning, we look back and realize the years have passed far more quickly than we ever imagined. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about the shortness of life, not because he feared death, but because he understood that those who forget the value of time eventually waste the one thing they can never recover. If you are over 40, this video is not a reminder that you are getting older. It is an invitation to reflect on the person you are becoming, because there is someone who will inherit every decision you make today. That person is you, 20 or 30 years from now. They will inherit your habits, your decisions, your friendships, your priorities, your neglected opportunities. And the real question is not whether you will grow old. The real question is whether your future self will be grateful for the choices you are making today. Today I want to share 5 truths that can completely change the way you see this stage of life. These are not rules for living longer. They are principles for living better. And the first truth may be the hardest one to accept. The suffering of old age rarely begins in old age. It begins decades earlier. Seneca once said that fortune favors the prepared mind. The same is true of aging. Most people believe life's greatest problems appear overnight, but they almost never do. Health is not lost in a single day. It is built or destroyed through small decisions repeated over many years. Financial hardship rarely comes from one dramatic mistake. It is usually the result of habits accumulated over time. The same is true for inner peace. It does not appear when your problems disappear. It grows through the way you choose to face them every single day. Imagine a farmer standing beneath a fully grown tree. Someone looking only at the fruit might believe everything happened suddenly. But the real story began years before. It began when someone chose the seed, prepared the soil, watered it faithfully, protected it while it was still fragile. Old age works exactly the same way. It simply reveals what has been growing beneath the surface throughout your entire life. That is the first truth. Your future is being built today, even when you don't realize it. The second truth is that independence is not a luxury. It is a form of freedom. When we are young, we often assume there will always be someone to solve our problems. Our family, our friends, our children. But a truly peaceful life cannot depend entirely on the availability or goodwill of other people. That does not mean living in isolation, nor does it mean refusing help. It means building such a strong foundation that your peace no longer depends on circumstances. True independence begins long before money. It begins with the willingness to keep learning, with the ability to adapt, with the courage to take responsibility for your own decisions. A person who continues learning, keeps their mind active and develops new skills will age very differently from someone who decided long ago that there is nothing left to learn. The body grows older, but curiosity keeps the spirit young. There is an image I often come back to. Imagine 2 travelers crossing the same mountain. One carries an overloaded backpack because they never prepared for the journey. The other packed carefully long before the trip began. They walk the same path, yet only one of them is free to enjoy the view. Preparation changes the weight of the journey. Life works exactly the same way. The more you build today, the less you will have to carry tomorrow. But there is something that grows old much faster than the body, and very few people recognize it while there is still time. If this video is helping you reflect on the person you want to become, subscribe to Stoic Spring. By making these timeless teachings part of your daily life, you will strengthen your inner peace and develop the emotional maturity needed to face every stage of life with wisdom and serenity. The third truth may be the quietest of them all. Emotional burdens grow old before the body does. Many people reach their 60s still carrying resentment they first picked up in their 20s, arguments that never truly ended, guilt they never released, betrayals they continue reliving over and over again. They believe time heals everything, but time alone heals nothing. It only makes heavier the burdens you refuse to put down. Imagine someone walking for decades with a backpack filled with stones. At first, the weight seems manageable, but year after year, every step becomes more exhausting. The problem was never the journey. It was refusing to leave the stones behind. That is exactly what anger, pride, and regret do. They occupy precious space within the mind, and they consume energy that could be used to fully live the present. Forgiveness does not mean saying the other person was right. It means deciding that you will no longer keep paying every day for something that happened years ago. And that is when many people discover a freedom they never believed was possible. But there is something even more powerful than the emotions you continue to carry, and it is much closer than you think. The fourth truth is easy to understand, but difficult to practice. The people who walk beside you are helping shape the person you will eventually become. There is an old saying that we become like the people we spend the most time with. The Stoics understood this long before modern psychology did. Epictetus advised his students to choose their companions wisely because little by little, the habits and mindset of those around us become our own. Picture a campfire. If you place a piece of wood close to the flames, it first becomes warm. Then slowly it begins to burn. Human relationships work the same way. You absorb the moods of the people around you, their values, their priorities, even the way they interpret life. That is why some friendships inspire you to become your best self, while others quietly pull you away from the person you always hoped to become. Perhaps the most dangerous influence is not the one that destroys your life overnight. It is the one that slowly convinces you to settle for a smaller version of yourself. People who normalize negativity, who turn complaining into a lifestyle, who constantly repeat that it is already too late to change. Eventually, those ideas stop sounding like someone else's opinions. They begin to sound like your own. On the other hand, when you surround yourself with people who are disciplined, curious, and committed to growing, something begins to change inside you. They do not need to tell you what to do. Their example speaks louder than any advice ever could. That is why you should protect your environment the same way you protect your health, because in many ways they are the very same thing. But there is one truth that goes even deeper, a truth that brings all the others together, and one that can completely change the way you look at growing older. The fifth truth is this: old age does not create your reality. It simply reveals the life you have been building all along. Imagine two men reaching the age of 70. They are the same age. They have lived through the same number of decades, yet one of them wakes up each morning filled with gratitude. He still has genuine friendships. He can still enjoy a walk. He continues learning. He looks back on his life with peace. The other wakes up surrounded by regret. He is still carrying resentments he never released. He lost his health through years of neglect. He never invested in meaningful relationships, and now he spends his days wondering where everything went wrong. The difference between them did not begin at 70. It began years earlier, in small decisions that seemed almost insignificant at the time. The day one chose to take a walk, while the other chose to postpone it. The moment one decided to keep learning, while the other believed there was nothing left to discover. When one chose forgiveness and moved forward, while the other carried resentment for decades. That is why old age should never be seen as a punishment. It is a mirror that honestly reflects the life you have quietly built over the years. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the happiness of our lives depends upon the quality of our thoughts. I would add that it also depends upon the quality of our choices, because thoughts inspire, but choices transform. Perhaps you cannot change your entire life today, and you do not have to. Life-changing transformations rarely happen overnight. They are built through small decisions repeated with consistency. A 20-minute walk, a conversation that has needed to happen for far too long, a sincere act of forgiveness, opening a book instead of wasting another hour, choosing healthier food, saving a little today for tomorrow. None of those decisions seems extraordinary on its own, but repeated over many years, they create an extraordinary life. Before we finish, I want to leave you with one final image. Imagine that someone is waiting for you right now. They are not somewhere else. They are in the future. That person is you, 20 or 30 years from now. They cannot return to rewrite the past, but they will receive everything you choose to build starting today. Every decision you make this week will become either a gift or a burden for that inevitable meeting. The real question was never whether you would grow old, because all of us will. The real question is this: when you finally meet that older, wiser version of yourself, will they look at you with gratitude or with regret? The answer begins to be written today. If this reflection spoke to you, write in the comments, "Today I begin building my future." Let those words become more than a comment. Let them become a promise to the person you are becoming, and subscribe to Stoic Spring. With every new video, you will strengthen the habit of protecting your inner peace, develop greater emotional maturity, and learn to build a life guided by wisdom, serenity, and the choices that truly matter. I'll see you in the next video.